So in this video, we are going to go through some unhelpful thinking styles and how we can counteract them to literally change our lives. Now, that might sound dramatic and overhyped, but the truth is that our thoughts will lead to our beliefs, and our beliefs will lead to our actions, and our actions will lead to our results. Okay, so what we think has a direct impact. It directly influences the result that we create in our life. So what we do for a living, where we work, who we spend our time with, how we see ourselves, our health, our fitness, how much money we have, literally absolutely everything in our lives, in our current reality, is a result of the thoughts that go through our head, because they lead to our beliefs, which lead to our actions, which lead to our results. They're directly connected. So it is super important to make sure that when we're running unhelpful thinking patterns, when we're, thinking negative thoughts, when we're identifying with negative thoughts, it's super important to make sure that we're disrupting those patterns and, discontinuing ourselves from identifying with that negativity, because that will have a direct result in our lives. Now, as you're watching this video, if you like it, if you get something like maybe a little gem of wisdom that you can use or apply, or if it helps you identify some negative thinking patterns that we're running without you being aware of it, then hit like and also comment below with anything that you got out of this video, or any questions or comments or things to share. A lot of people get a lot of value from the comments, and it will help others to see your insights as well. And finally, as you're watching this, if you want more videos like this every single week, hit subscribe, hit the little notification bell, and you'll get alerts and reminders whenever videos do go live. All right, so let's talk about some unhelpful thinking patterns. Now, this is in no particular order, but number one is jumping to negative conclusions. Right? So something happens, somebody says something, and immediately we assume that it must be the negative. We assume it's because we're not good enough, or because we didn't do something right, or we blame ourselves, or or maybe we say, oh, this thing happened and it's because of the economy, or it's because of it's not good for businesses right now to start a business, or whatever. Like, we've basically created a negative association with an event that's happened, and then we use that negative association to explain something. All right, so that's number one, negative conclusions. Number two is overgeneralization. Right, so where we basically say, oh, because this one thing happened one time, that therefore means that things will keep happening like that again and again, or something to that effect, right? We take very limited data and we use that and extrapolate that into creating, again, another meaning about what it means for what will happen in the future. We overgeneralize. And again, often we'll overgeneralize from a negative sense. And then number three is black and white thinking. So literally assuming that it's either this way or this way and there's nothing in between. Couldn't be further from the truth. There are all sorts of variations and scales and grey areas in absolutely everything. Nothing is absolute. And if we behave or assume that everything is absolute, we're boxing ourselves in very fixed realities, or very fixed constructs or ways of thinking. And that's not going to enable us to create incredible results in our lives if we're categorizing ourselves in this fixed way. All right, so black and white thinking is number three. Number four is putting too much emphasis on the negative. All right, so for example, 7 positive things happen and 1 negative thing happens, but we focus entirely on the negative. It's very natural for humans to do that. That's kind of how we're wired, because from an evolutionary sense, our brains want us to highlight the threats. They want us to highlight the negatives, because that means we're more likely to survive. But in this day and age, and this world that we live in, survival, isn't really something we have to be concerned with most of the time anymore. We're pretty safe in our, first world society. And our brains are not wired to make us happy. They're not wired to make us, let's say, successful. They're just wired to keep us alive. So focusing on the negative, the one negative out of all the myriad of positives, is a good way to keep us alive, but it's not a very good way to keep us creating powerful results in our lives and help us be happy. We've got to learn to start to operate outside of that default programming and choose to put real focus on the positives that happen in our lives. And then number 5 is using our feelings to gauge what is so, what is truth, right? And there's a lot of merit to using feelings, using gut instinct to sort of guide us and help us navigate through life. But when we use feelings to create meanings and then explain and then justify why things are the way that they are, or that, you know, this thing means that thing because of how I feel about it, feelings are entirely transient. They are a result of a series of biochemical reactions in our body. I'm not going to go into the science, partly because if there's any scientists watching, then you're going to hear me literally slaughter this explanation, so I'm not going to go there. But essentially, the feelings that we're feeling in our body are a result of a series of chemical reactions. And therefore, if we're basing what is true or what is real in the world outside, and we're using our feelings to gauge and create all of these meanings, and from that we're then, you know, making the decisions that we make in a logical sense that are going to dictate our lives, feelings are entirely transient. Right? Have you ever gone from, let's say, one moment thinking like, I'm on top of the world, I can't believe how incredible I feel, and then literally 40 minutes later, you're like, I suck, I cannot believe that I did that, oh my God, I'm so ashamed of myself. We feel entirely different. And yet the way that we see the world, if we make a decision from the first state of, I am literally unstoppable, I've got this, right? If we make a decision from that state versus being like, I can't believe it, I've literally let myself down again. And then we make a decision from that state, it's going to be an entirely different decision, which is going to produce an entirely different result. And so if we're basing what is real or what is truth on our feelings, that will change at any given moment, right? And therefore, if it will change, and if the way that we feel will change the truth that we would decide, well, the way that we feel must have nothing to do with what is true. Because otherwise, what is true would change the moment how we feel changes. Or more importantly, if what is true is fixed, then how we feel would stay fixed in line with what is true. The fact is that they're completely not connected. Right? They're two separate things. And again, I'm not saying it's wrong to listen to your feelings. God, no. Like, feelings have a, you know, real use in life. But when we act as if the way that we feel is permanent, and we make decisions as if the way that we feel is permanent, then we are influencing our reality based on something that is entirely transient. And our results that we create are literally just, you know, smoke in the air. They're completely whimsical, and they're a result of something that 40 minutes later won't even exist anymore. Okay, and we're leaving it entirely to chance. We can't leave the results that we create to chance like that if we want to really make an impact or do something, you know, powerful or create something big in our lives. Now, the key thing, I could go on with more and more and more different unhelpful thinking patterns and habits and styles, but the point is that every single one of them, any unhelpful thinking style or pattern that we run in our lives, comes from one thing and one thing only. And that is that we have created meaning in some way or another to what's so. I'll explain that again. I'll say that one more time. We have created a meaning out of thin air from what's so. So for example, let's say we want to start a business, but we don't have the capital, we don't have the money to start a business. And so we decide, I can't afford it. And from that, we also decide, well, look, it's probably a good thing. We probably wouldn't have been able to do it anyway. I don't have the technical skills. You know, it would have been too risky. Like 95% of people fail in business as well. And look, it's probably better to be realistic and stay safe and just stick with the job that I've got, stick with the career that I've got, because it pays well, and you know, that's going to just enable me to keep paying my bills. And it's not so bad anyway. I should probably just stop complaining. Okay. So in that example, we've taken what's so, which is, I want to start a business. I need money. That money's not in my bank account. Right? That's what's so. Start a business will cost money. I don't have the money. And what we've done from that is we've created this entire story about how, oh, because the money's not in my bank account, that means I can't afford it, and that means I can't start a business, and it's probably a good thing that I can't start a business because it's too risky, because, again, that's another meaning. We're saying because 95% of businesses don't succeed, that means it's risky. Actually, it doesn't. It just means that 95% of people give up before they succeed. That's all it means. It doesn't really mean anything. But we've created this entire story to explain and justify what's so, right? What's so? We want a business, we need money, the money's not in our bank account. That's what's so. And what we've got to recognize is that everything that happened in there, right? That chain reaction that just happened does not exist in reality. It is entirely made up. We have just fabricated it inside our own mind. And there are various questions that we can ask to combat any thought process, thought pattern, any meaning that we've created. If we ask the right questions, we can move back the smoke screen, we can unveil the illusion and reveal that it is in fact BS and we have created it. And the only thing that is real is what's so, and the meanings that we choose to create after that are entirely within our control. We could just as well create the meaning of, I want to start a business, I don't have the money in my bank account at the moment and I need money to start a business, and that means I've got an exciting challenge ahead of me. I've got many different ways that I can now go to raise that capital. That's going to enable me to grow, it's going to enable me to form new connections, and it's going to enable me to use other people's money instead of my own. Like, how awesome is that? I don't even need to put my own money into it. I can raise capital from somewhere else. And that's one of the most essential skills of entrepreneurship. And it also means it's going to drive me to work even harder. And I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to be in the 95% of people who fail, because I've got, financial obligations on the line. If I raise capital from somewhere else, I've got a moral obligation and a financial obligation to never quit no matter what. I know, therefore, that I will be in that 5% who succeed. I'm not going to give up. And I'm going to put myself in a position where I can't give up because I can't afford to. Therefore, my success is guaranteed. And if I had the money in my bank account, I wouldn't have that same level of drive. But because I don't, and I'm going to raise the capital and I'm going to go for it, this is exactly what I need to succeed. How exciting and empowering is that? Right? Two different stories of meanings from the same what's so. What's so? I don't have the money in my bank account to start a business. And those two thought processes will create entirely different results. The first one, someone's going to lose that belief in themselves, stay trapped in a career that they're not happy in, and ultimately just live out their life and stay stuck. Right? That thought process, that meaning that they've created, will create that reality, because thoughts lead to your beliefs lead to your actions lead to your results. Thoughts of, I don't have the money in my bank account, I can't afford it, this means this means this, this means this, it's going to form the beliefs of business is risky, it's better to stay safe, I'm probably not good enough to be an entrepreneur anyway, and on and on and on. And those beliefs will then shape how we see the world, and how we see the world will dictate the actions that we take in the world, i.e. staying safe, staying within our comfort zones, not pushing ourselves, not taking risks, and really not being our best selves. And the result of that is living a mediocre life, trapped somewhere you don't want to be trapped, feeling unfulfilled, feeling like crap, before eventually getting to the end of your life and realizing that you never did anything you wanted to do, and then living with regret until you die. Right? That's one result, potentially. And another result is complete opposite, right? In the second example, it was someone going for it, chasing their dreams, like doing what it takes to step into entrepreneurship, really pushing themselves, leveling themselves up, keep going until they succeed, and then ultimately one day creating a very different result in their lives. Thoughts, beliefs, actions, results. So any negative thought pattern, let me give you some questions now to start to break the automated process that goes on in there. Because as soon as we start shedding light on it, as soon as we start, creating awareness around it, and we can see it happening inside our own minds, it no longer just rules everything that we do on autopilot. We suddenly take back choice. because we can choose, we can influence, and we are in direct control, if we have awareness, of what thought patterns and what meanings that we create, right? Because again, remember, everything that happens beyond what's so is something we have just made up. We have just made up all of those meanings ourselves. That was us. We can control it, we can change it, and when we flip the switch on the meanings, we flip the switch and create an entirely different result. So here are some questions to ask. First question is, are there other people who have done what I'm telling myself I can't do, despite coming from worse situations than I'm coming from now? So for example, so to shorten it, are there other people who have done what I've done that are the same as me? The answer will always be yes. So if we're saying, I can't start a business because I don't have the money, well, are there other people who have started businesses with even less money? Yeah, millions of them. Okay, so is it true that you can't start a business without money? Well, no, therefore that must be false. That's not true. Okay, so if that was false, right, if that's not reality, then the story that I can't start a business without money doesn't exist. And if we're believing it to be true, it's because we're identifying with those thoughts, because thoughts lead to beliefs, right? We've been thinking those thoughts for long enough so that we've created a belief that I can't start a business without money. And if we can suddenly see, oh my God, that's not real, that's not true. The truth is, millions of people start businesses without money. Maybe I can do it too. Maybe I've been living my whole life as if the belief that I can't start a business without money is true, but actually it's not true. I've just made that up, right? And if you want to take this even a stage further, the beliefs that we have, they're not even our beliefs. Every belief that we have has been adopted from somewhere else. Right? Our past experience, the collection of our entire past and everything that's ever happened and every conversation we've ever heard, every view we've ever had from anyone else, like every interaction we've ever had has shaped our model of reality. And if our beliefs were our own, then they would be the first time that a human being has believed this in the history of ever. Have other human beings before us believed that you can't start a business without money? Well, yeah, because where did we get that belief? Was it our parents? Was it our friends? What was it? That belief came from somewhere, and that belief is something that we've inherited from somewhere else that's not true, and it's not based on reality, but we've lived our entire life as if that is one, our belief, and two, something that is true. It is neither. It's not our belief, and it's not true. And as soon as we can start seeing that this is the case and breaking the link between the thoughts and the beliefs, right, and then associating with different thoughts, that's when we can start creating different results. Because we cannot create results that are out of line with how we see the world. If we don't see ourselves as an entrepreneur, we're not magically going to wake up tomorrow with a $20 million business. It's not going to happen. Because we'd have to see ourselves as an entrepreneur and therefore start taking the actions that entrepreneurs take before we can get an entrepreneurial result. Okay, so our view of the world, the way that we see the world and our beliefs, which comes from our thoughts, and it's not even our beliefs, we've adopted them from somewhere else, our results can only live within that finite, fixed reality, that model of reality that we have created. So, another empowering question to ask. What did I just make that mean? Okay, so whenever we catch ourselves saying a story, I can't do this, I can't have this, I'm not good enough for this, I don't have the skills for this, I don't have the time, blah, 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 blah. Whenever we catch ourselves wanting to do something, but we feel disempowered in doing it, what's the story that we've just told ourselves? And ask yourself, what did I just make it mean? Okay, what did I just make it mean? We've got to start breaking apart what's so from what did we make it mean? Because as we've talked about, what did we make it mean entirely exists within our own mind and our own mind only. It is not real. And if we can detach what's so, we can say what's so, okay? So I'm going to give you a situation. Let's say you're at work and you share an idea in a meeting and nobody really takes it on board and doesn't get acted on, and you feel humiliated and you feel like you shouldn't have spoken in the first place, and you feel that people don't respect you. Okay, so what's so in that situation is you opened your mouth, words came out, and other people heard the words and responded a certain way. Right? That's what's so. You opened your mouth, sound came out, other people received the sound in their ears, they heard the vibrational sound waves with their ears, and then from that they moved their bodies in certain ways and did certain things, and that's it. That's what happened. But the meanings that we've created are, oh, that must mean that they don't value my opinion. That must mean that, they don't think that I have good ideas. That must mean, because of that I shouldn't voice my thoughts in meetings, because if I do that, that'll mean, again, that I'll get shot down again and I'll feel bad and I'll feel worthless and right? And we create all of this crap in meanings. None of it exists. None of it is real. Let's try another meaning. You spoke out in a meeting, right? You shared an idea and you got shot down or people didn't take it on board. Well, it could mean that they've got a lot going on in their lives right now. It could mean they've got a lot going on in the business. It could mean that they're about to go through a takeover that you don't know about. It could mean a myriad of other things that are nothing to do with you, but we want to make it all about us, right? In other people's lives, we are really not that significant, but we will make out that we are extremely significant in their lives. The fact of the matter is, none of it means anything that we've made it mean. And so if we're creating these negative meanings, we can decide to create a more positive meaning just like that. We can make it mean, oh, they just, it wasn't that it was a bad idea. It's nothing about me. They've just got a lot going on right now. I'll just share the next idea that comes to me and maybe they'll take that one on board. End of. Boom. Get on with your day. Doesn't mean anything, right? And as soon as we can start understanding it doesn't mean anything, it doesn't mean what we've made it mean, that's not reality, then we can break the pattern and start setting ourselves free from the negative belief. Stop living our lives as if people don't respect us, for example, because that's not true. But if we live our lives as if that belief is true, we'll start showing up in life already assuming that people don't respect us, and because of that we behave a certain way, and we then create a result which is in line with that belief, which is people don't respect us. And then we'll go and look for proof in the world of all the reasons why people don't respect us, and we'll create more meanings to layer onto that belief. See, all of these things happened in my past that prove that people don't respect me. No, none of it's true. It was never true. And each time we keep layering on that and acting as if that is truth, we're just building more and more meaning and fixing ourselves more and more into this tiny box labelled people don't respect me. It's all BS. So break the patterns. I hope those two questions help. If we're telling ourselves, I can't do something, just ask yourself, have other people in the world from worse positions than me done it already? The answer is always yes. So therefore, you can do it too. But we've created meanings somewhere along the line which aren't true, but we're living as if they're true, that are then stopping us taking those actions. And then question number two is, what did I just make that mean? Detach from what's so and reality and start choosing to create different meanings in your life. I really hope this helps. Hope it was valuable. If you've liked it, if you've got some nuggets, if you've got some gems, then hit like down below and please comment and share what you got out of it. Also, if you have any questions, please comment below. And finally, please hit subscribe if you would like more videos like this every single week. It's in the bottom corner right now. Hit subscribe, hit the little notification bell. You'll get a reminder when they go live. But until the next video, have an amazing week and I will speak to you soon. Bye for now.